Hey, what's going on? I have a very special guest today. It's Edward Pritchett. He's a serial entrepreneur and he's one of the most respected builders in the insurance industry. After graduating from Yale University with a degree in chemical engineering, Edward made a bold identity shift into insurance and went on to build one of the highest performing agencies in the country, producing over $50 million since 2022. His mission now is simple but powerful. Help agents grow, lead, and build something that actually lasts. Edward, thank you for hopping on the hashtag Clockedin podcast. The first question is when you moved from engineering into insurance, what identity did you have to let go of? And what identity did you consciously choose to step into? Because I know chemical engineering to insurance it's a big jump.
It's definitely a different jump. Not one that any of my college advisors would have advised at that point in time. But Jordan, thank you for having me on here. Just love what you're doing with Clocked In, and love that. I mean, it's clocked in, like you said it. We're gonna jump right into it and get started. So, um, when I think about like just moving from like we all as we go through middle school, high school, get into college, you're training for something, right? Like that's the traditional way that it's
Yes.
been taught. Is that okay? I'm going to be an accountant, so I need to go and get an accounting degree, and then I'll get out, and then I'll be an accountant, and then what, right? So as an engineer, it's certainly one of those things where you're taught like you're supposed to think a certain way, you're supposed to act a certain way. This is everybody says they kind of laugh at engineers a little bit. Oh, they're not the people, right?
Yeah.
No one would ever accuse engineers of being the people. They're the nerds, the ones that are down in the work study all the time in the engineering lab. So I had kind of taken on that identity because it was the books I read and the people I surrounded myself with, right?
Yeah.
That became me and stepping into a different industry. And I did it because I had to. Great recession, changes, like all these things occurred at one time. And someone said, hey, try this insurance thing out. Like it will allow you to make the income that you're wanting to make and you can take care of yourself and your family. And as I stepped into that, I realized I can't just be an engineer anymore.
Yeah.
That's not who I am. And I don't think any one of us is any one thing. We're an amalgam of so many different things that have influenced and impacted our lives. And so I had to start to remember, how did insurance impact me and my family when my mother passed away right after I graduated from college? What is it like to help someone out? Like I had to think back to the community service work that I had done and working with kids with diabetes and all the camp counseling things. Like, as a camp counselor, you're trying to coordinate these 10, 11, 12, 14-year-old kids together and get them to work together and be in a harmonious relationship for a week of summer camp. And what kind of negotiations happen there? So I had to start drawing on other parts of my life. And then the biggest change from my identity standpoint was I had to decide, who did I want to become? Who did I want to become as an insurance professional, as a financial services professional? What was I intending to do for my clients? And then I had to start to learn, train, and adopt the aspects
Yeah.
of that kind of person. So these are the things that really helped me to shift from, okay, I'm just an engineer to, wait, I am so much more. And what can I draw on to really go out and serve a client? I think anybody, no matter what industry you're in, it's not just about whether you're, in sales, not in sales, you're a service provider, you're in customer service, whatever it is that you're doing, that one thing is not your identity. Your identity is like what helps you be the best version of what your customers are looking for, what your clients are looking for, the people that you're looking to serve, and drawing upon those different things and incorporating that into becoming the you that is going to be the best version of you for your industry.
I think that's amazing. And for the audience listening, Edward literally just did a step by step on how you can kind of recreate your identity. I wasn't expecting you to answer like that, but it's true. You literally sat there, you go, what am I doing now? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I've been a camp counselor. I've never referenced that as part of my identity, but you're absolutely right. That is the first group ownership where you're running groups.
Yeah.
and you're running teams and you're running people. And usually people reference sports. It doesn't even matter. It could be the band. Whatever experience you've had, you have a reference to that and you can create that as part of your future identity. And the best part is, everyone, you can create your identity at any point you want.
Any
Like,
point. Yep.
you can do a rechange. You can do these shifts. So what was it like for you? Because I know there's a story for after you were graduating Yale, you had the offer from Bain Capital, and you're sitting there, you're contemplating, and there's a lot of stuff going on in that moment. And what really happened? Because I think it's good for the audience to realize, like, who is Edward and like what actually happened there, and how did he end up in the insurance? Was it like, was it I must go? And it's like,
No, it definitely wasn't a must go. I mean, the long and the short of it is I graduated in the summer of 2005. And that July, my mother had a brain aneurysm. She lived for about a week afterwards and passed away.
sorry to hear that.
She was 51, entirely unexpected. I mean, like that's what an aneurysm, like it
Yeah.
happens, right? And when you have your future lined up, like when you leave college, there's all um, the career fairs and all the people come on campus and you apply for jobs. And most people hope to leave college with a job in hand, right? And so I had a job in hand and I knew that's what I was going to be doing. But then life decided to throw something else at us. And for my family, we had to make some decisions. It was what does happen next? And for me, my family, not only at that time, but even, I mean, through to this day, I came from a very close-knit family. We have big family reunions down in Alabama every summer, that the family reunions that have been going on for the last 60 plus years, right?
That's
So it's like
incredible.
family is the thing. And I knew I had to come back and help my father. I had two younger siblings who were in college at the time, two younger siblings who were still in high school.
Oh wow.
And yeah, my dad was going to need some help. And I didn't, the siblings that were in college, like they didn't need to interrupt their college career and come back and help. I was at a point, at a change point in my life anyway. So I chose to come back to Asheville, North Carolina, work with my father, who had an engineering firm at the time, and just kind of dug in. All right, I dug into like what was going on. We were blessed to find out that my mother had actually purchased some life insurance,
Oh wow.
unbeknownst to my dad. Like she had just purchased it at work,
Oh my
two,
God.
two policies worth over $450,000. And had it not been for those two policies, like it wouldn't have, it was hard, but like it would have been like it would
Really?
have been horrible. It would have been
Yeah.
horrible. Like we would have lost the house, we would like everything because dual income household, right?
And people, yeah, I mean, you're bringing up a really good point here, Edward. People don't realize that, and I have some clients that have told me they're like, yeah, I make my kids and and I have policies and all of these different things because you don't know what's going to happen when your
You
family
just
unit
don't.
gets broken up and
Yeah,
your work goes, yeah, are you going to show up a week later? And you're like, bro, I need more time. Like, I don't,
exactly.
yeah,
And I'm not saying that to be callous, right? Like the business is going to still continue on. Like as they say, life does continue on. Like even when
of
you lose,
course.
no matter what, life is going to continue to move forward. So if it hadn't have been for those policies, we would have been in a very bad place. And this was exactly 3 months, 3 years, excuse me, 3 years before I got into the insurance industry. But it was that experience that opened my eyes to, I'm a 22-year-old college grad. I'm not thinking about life insurance, like
Yeah.
literally at all. But that experience awakened me to that. It opened me whenever I talked to the agent who worked with my mom and what she wanted and why she did what she did. Like it's like, huh, who's having these kind of conversations with other people who might be
Yeah.
in a similar situation? So that was the like not a catalyst moment per se, but that was the seed moment. That
Yeah.
just kind of planted a seed so that when the time was right, when I was offered the opportunity to actually step into this industry, I was like, yeah, I want to be that agent who worked with my mom and be able to do what he did for our family after she passed. Because everybody came with their condolences and the pies and the food bakes and like that's nice and everybody's around for a little while, but nobody's handing you what
A
is literally
check.
a life-saving financial lifeline uh,
Yeah.
after someone passes away. And
Yeah.
yeah, like I rate what I do as an insurance agent right up there with doctors and lawyers and these other people who like in those dire times when everybody else is like, we're with you, we're praying for you, we're supporting you, we're sending you our love. That's great. Like I'm not saying that those things are bad, but man, whenever someone can present you with a financial solution for the situation that you're in because they helped someone that you love plan for the unexpected, I can't think of anything else that's like that. And
Yeah.
so when I got into the industry and I really absorbed that as part of the identity of what I was going to do when I'm in this
I,
industry,
yeah.
man,
And
golf.
I, I want everyone to realize this. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I want everyone to realize this that is listening. Whether you're in life insurance or you're in any industry, look at how serious Edward's taking this. And look at how serious. No, I'm being completely honest here because if you don't take your work seriously, people aren't going to take you seriously. And I'm
Sure.
just sharing this for the audience because if you're in a job and you're like, I don't really know, I'm not really sure if I like it, like these are key intangibles you need to be successful. It doesn't
Yeah,
have to mean you have to go on this path, but it means you have to really care and understand your why and really have a great reason for doing what you're doing.
agreed. 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, was it the first insurance agency you were at the only one you stayed at, or did you?
No, it wasn't. And that goes to just to doing your research. I started in the captive. If you know anything about the insurance world, you can either be a captive agent or a independent agent. And so, like
Yeah,
Jake at State Farm, I don't know if we can use his name. It's kind of common. Um, he's a captive agent. He can only sell and work for State Farm. Or you have brokers out there who can look through a multitude of different insurance carriers and find like what's going to be the best and put that into place for that family. And so started off in that captive world, found like I can't really help people the way I want to. And I kind of felt forced and coerced into helping them in ways that I was like, that's not really going to be beneficial for them. And
yeah.
after about 2 years, I switched over to the independent side and became a broker and started building my agency from the brokerage side because I really understood then that, you know, if I can have choices for my clients, then my clients can have better choices for their families. And we can really develop a game plan for what they're looking for. And
And
you help people get their solution, it's not a sale anymore. You're being able to
providing
provide
value.
a solution and providing value directly to them in the way that they're looking for.
And I really appreciate you sharing that because it's not about captive versus non-captive. It's about people need to realize that when you're in a space and you enter something for the first time, and you might be like, I like this, but this isn't exactly it. There's so many nuances deeper in, right? Like,
Yeah.
so you don't just go to the doctor and be like, give me brain surgery or fix my broken leg or like it's a crazy concept. But when we don't understand ideas, we do things at the largest level that we can relate to. So we go, insurance is insurance. You have life insurance. Can I have car insurance too? And they're like, what? Like maybe, like I don't, that's a different person. But
Yeah.
as you get more and more nuanced with things, and I want to share this for the audience so they realize like when you're going into any industry, you might like it at first or you might not like it. That doesn't mean that it's a good or bad industry. And we do these judgments very early on, which I think happen a lot for us, and it can be very challenging.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
that's why I think your environment too, right? Like you said, you can enter an industry from multiple different avenues, right? And the more, like, if you have the time and the money to really do your research and find, like, what's the best fit for me? Because I know some great people in the captive world. They do an amazing job. They help clients day in and day out, right? And they love where they're at, and it's the perfect spot for them. And same thing on the independent side. But then I know people who are crossed on that, right? Where they're
But
just like, they don't like their job because they just felt that the environment isn't conducive to who their identity truly is.
so how do you think some of these people who might be listening right now, they can save time? Like, should they interview different people? Should they go around? Like, how do you make the best informed decision? This is more like on decision making. Like, how
Yeah.
do you think you can make a better informed decision?
Well, let's go back to the post-college
Yeah,
graduate, right? as you're graduating, you have those career fairs. If you've been to any major college in the U.S., there's maybe you didn't go to the
So
career fair,
many.
but like the career fair was there, right?
Yeah.
And you talk to different groups and different organizations to try to find like who am I gonna fit in with? It's why people intern, right?
Yes.
Like let me learn a little bit about this before I commit the next 5, 10, 15 years of my life to this organization. But we get into this place of desperation. I
Yes.
need to make money right now. And then we just
Yes.
we just stick around because well, I'm making a little bit of money or I'm making enough money. I can't rock the boat.
Yeah.
That's where I have to be willing to step into some of that fear that you and I were talking about the other day. Like, I have to do things that are a little bit scary if I want to be massively successful, right?
Yeah.
One of those scary things is being willing to take the time, take the risk of saying, this place isn't a fit, and I'm not going to sit here and waste away the next 5, 10 years of my life in a place that I don't fit. Let me go look for something else. And when
And
I'm going and doing that look, I'm going to spend time on it. It's not just like what just the next thing that gives me an offer. Like, if they're going to interview you, I think anybody, especially for me, our agents are all 1099, they're independent. So it's not like I'm offering them a job, I'm offering them a partnership. So they
yeah.
need to interview the person that's going to be their business partner.
Yeah.
Find out, is this the best place for me? Is this, and you're not gonna know 100%. Like I'm not saying that you're gonna, the sky will open and the lights will shine down and you're like, this is the place you're chosen to be. Maybe that might happen for you. And if it does, please let me know. That'd be a cool story to hear
Mm.
about. But you can at least get very close to that.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a really, really good point there is if you're realizing you're in a place and it's not a good fit for you, to go on the offensive. Like this is something I did. Like you have to do it. Like if you have a solid job and it's paying you, but you're not enjoying it, then you go on the offensive to see what else is out there.
Yep.
Because if you don't, then something might shift. You might get a promotion and everyone's like, congrats. But in reality, you're just locking yourself further and further into these chains where it's like, dude, now I gotta buy the house. Now I got the kid.
Yep.
Now I got all
Yep.
this. And it's like, I can't get out when your opportunity to get out was that moment. As soon as you have a moment of like, wait, is there anything else out there? And it's like you just start looking a little bit and you start having those conversations and the other big thing was that interviewing the interviewer. Everyone's
Yeah.
always like, oh, they gotta like me. No, you gotta like them. Like it's a
Exactly.
power play. It's not a one size
It,
fits all.
and it's not a power play. And like I appreciate, like I interview, you know, 50 to 100 people a month
Oh
uh,
wow.
want to work with us. And the ones that I appreciate the most and the ones that we have the best relationships, if we decide to work together, are the ones who have their questions for me. Hey, if I come here, this is what I'm needing. This is what I'm looking for. Is this what I'm going to get here? Right? Is this the right environment? Like, what's the environment look like? What's the ethos that you guys follow? Like, what's the culture that I'm going to be stepping into? Because those things matter, right?
Yeah.
I forget who said it, but one of the business book folks says culture eats strategy for lunch, right? Like you can have the best strategy in the world, but if the culture's crap, like it ain't gonna really work out too well for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're bringing up a good point for even you building your business, but even them stepping into theirs, that there's a big realization for them that like there might be some failure on the way. Like to
hmm
be able to win big, you might have some failures along the way. What do you think about that? Because that can
I
be
would
scary
I
sometimes.
would take away the might. You will have some if you don't have failures on the way, you're not talking about big success. You're talking about, average and mediocre,
Yeah.
right? Like there will be times I'm dealing with a time for myself right now where like I know that I can fail at what I'm embarking on. Like, and,
Yeah.
and I know what that's going to look like. And I had to come to a point here recently where I had to accept if I fail, what does it look like? What's life going to
Yeah.
be like? Like, I had to live in that spot for just a minute because as long as that was this just imagined thing and I hadn't really been there, then I was going to fear making the right decisions that I need to make in order to see success through. But like, if
Yeah.
I can say, you know what? If I fail at this, I'm okay. I'm still
Yeah.
alive. I still have another chance. I mean, we look at, I mean, the the top pinnacle of success is filled with people who have what? Struggle, 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 fail, struggle, struggle, fail, succeeded, struggle,
Yeah.
like it's just it's continue that's gonna happen. And if I'm not willing to accept that, then I'm not gonna take the appropriate risk that I need to take. I'm not
Yeah.
going to willing to step out where other people are. Nobody wants sameness. People want something different. People want something that is special and unique. And the people who are willing to say, I'm going to try something like that and be willing to fail, knowing that if I fail, I still get to be alive. I still
Yeah.
get to go and try it again.
Yeah.
So I think that's one place where I have to be 100% like, and it's weird to say it, but 100% okay with that, the idea that I am going to fail.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to continue. If I do, guess what? I'm going to learn and
Yeah.
I'm going to go and take it to what's the next thing. Because there's just so many people who have, you know, filed for bankruptcy, lost all their money, like all that stuff has happened. But then look at where they are now.
Yes.
I guarantee you, they would tell you had that not happened, they wouldn't be where they are now.
Yes. And it really is a very healthy exercise of looking out a year, 2 years, and being like, what if this really does happen? You know what I mean? Or you're in a job and you're like, what if they fire me? And it's like, I got advice one time from somebody, and he's like, you should prep right now.
Yep.
Like, prepare to be fired tomorrow. What would you do differently? And it's like, prepare for your failure today. What would you do different? Oh man, I'm not going to go overspending. I'm not going to go doing all these activities. I'm going to be thinking more consciously. I'm going to maneuver this. So then when the actual moment happens, you've experienced it in your body 15 times. It's like, game on. Let's go.
Yep.
Like I
Yep.
literally just had a client where we're doing a coaching call this morning, and he's moving into a couple different industries. He's been an entrepreneur, but he had a job, and he knew that the end was coming. And I'm like, oh, like, did you have off today? Like, it's MLK Day. Like, is there anything there? And he's like, dude, I actually got laid off on Friday. Today's my last day. And I'm like, how do you feel? And he's like, I've been ready for this for 6 to 8 months. I'm like, dude, you're a beast. Let's go.
You
Because,
go.
but if you get caught off guard because you don't do the precautions to actually prep, then you sit there and you're like shivering in your boots because you don't know what to do. But when you
Yep.
sit there and you go, dude, I'm ready for this. I've been waiting for this. Like my time is now. It was such an eye opener for him. So I appreciate the failure comments because
Well, and one thing is, a lot of people will say, like, well, are you calling that to yourself if you think that way? And I would argue that if you're planning for success, failure is a part of that, right? It's
yes,
not like I'm planning for all the contingencies. I'm not looking for failure, but I know that were that to be the outcome, it's not the end. Because I
yeah,
think a lot of people, what they do is they think about failure as the end. If I fail here, I'm done. We're
yeah,
ruined. Everything's over. Well, guess what? Now you definitely have called that into existence, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah, if you fail, everything. And so now you're going to make more protectionist decisions versus decisions that advance and go
yeah,
out looking to conquer. You're looking to kind of wall up and like, hide behind the wall and just make sure that you hold everything where it is. And we stay on the plateau too long, you're gonna die anyway,
you're not
you
going to
know?
make a change anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
So it moves you into the change. I like that.
Exactly.
I like that. Now, you've seen a lot of agents go from zero to, from my understanding, like zero to more money than they've made in their life. Like they've started to more money than they've experienced before.
Mhm.
How do you think people handle the lifestyle inflation? Because I know that's like money management's an important thing. So, like, how do people
Yeah.
think about that?
So it's one of those things that I don't think is taught very well in many places, right? Like I'll use the consulting and financial world because
Yeah,
that was kind of the path that I was going down. And, it's a world where they say, okay, you come in and you put in your 80 to 90-hour weeks when you're first starting so that you can become a junior associate and then you become an associate. And then the goal is to be a partner. And by the time you're a partner, you're not working as many hours. You're making three, four, five, $600,000 a year. You have this great lifestyle. And what happens along the way, though, is every rung, every step that you move up, you have to have the new trappings, right?
yeah,
You go from Brooks Brothers to Tom Ford.
Yeah.
You go from Toyota Camry to BMW to Mercedes AMG. Although I wouldn't put a Mercedes AMG above a BMW, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but like, there's all these things that you're supposed to do because that's what everybody else does. But what that also does is, of course, locks you in. That's what keeps you. Like, you don't want to. People don't want to lose their stuff.
Yeah.
And so you start seeing the other people around you, you start behaving like them, and then that's why people end up in debt. That's why people
Yeah.
end up over leveraged. And now, whenever that opportunity comes for you to do something unique or different or something that can propel you to success, you're not able to do it. Or I don't even want to say able. You don't want to do it because you're so attached to all the trappings that you have accumulated along your journey forward. So that happens definitely for people in sales who, they come in, they're like, I've never made more than 50 or $60,000 a year. They have their first $100,000 a year, and they're like, oh, let me go and get this. And then they have $150,000 a year. Oh, now I can afford some of the best financial advisors that you see out there. Like, if you're on social media following any finance, they all talk about. And I'll even throw one of those guys that I agree with some of the stuff and don't agree with the other stuff, but he's kind of the biggest head in the space talking about this. But Dave Ramsey talks about it all the time, right? Live like no one ever lives today, so you can live like no one's living tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how can I be? And it's not even just a frugal thing. It's like, what can I hold back from? Like, for example, for myself, like, one thing that I wanted to make sure my family had was a home, nice home in the area that we wanted to live. But I'm not a big, everything else. I was like, what we will spend money on is where we live and the travel experiences that we have.
Yes.
I've been driving the same 2019 Toyota Sienna minivan
Yeah.
since 2019, and it's not going to be changing anytime soon. I don't need any flashy cars and nothing against flashy
But
cars.
but that's a big thing to realize because you could sit there and then you get the flashy car and you start to realize like, wait, my family can't all fit in the car. Like again, and now, oh my God, I drove it 1,000 miles. It needs an oil change, and that's the price of our Europe trip. Like,
Right?
you know what I mean? All this stuff adds up, and I love how you have give and take. You know what I mean? Because it's not like you can literally have it all, but you can just choose, hey, I want this to be really elevated. Hey, I want
Exactly.
this to be, I want to turn this dial up. If you
But
don't,
everything can't be elevated, and that's the
yeah,
problem that people try to get everything. That's where the credit and the debt starts coming in,
yes,
because everything has to be like. I mean, I've had people make fun of my minivan. I don't care. Like,
yeah,
they're not living my life. They don't get to decide what my family gets to experience and the peace that we can ultimately have, because we know, guess what? There's money in the bank for the next, because there's a next step. Like, I'm not stopping here. I'm going to another level. And when I get to that next level, guess what? I can add some other things if I want, which more than likely I won't add anything else, because
what's the
it
point?
just, it doesn't. You start to see that it doesn't. Because there was a time
Of
I loved my car.
course.
I loved, like, growing up as a teenager. I don't know if you remember that poster. It was like the big house on the hill, the 10-car garage full, like,
Yes,
like, this is success. Like,
crazy car. Yeah,
I bought into it. Like, I wanted the Ferraris and the Lambos and all. But, like, as I got wise counsel for some great mentors, they were like, look, if you want that stuff later on, you can get it. But I promise you, it ain't gonna make anything happier for you or better for you in the here and now.
yeah,
Uh, and so just being mindful of that and getting good counsel and coaching around, like, as I increase my income, once I get to a place that I've never been before, get counsel for someone who has been there.
yeah.
Actually listen, because you're going to make mistakes if you just kind of go off of your
How you feel and what you want to
60 or
do.
$70,000 income mentality. Like, I want to talk to someone who's making double that whenever I get to those areas, so that I can find out, like, what are the things that allowed you to grow this successfully, and look for those people who you really want to emulate. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard sometimes to see behind the veil and the mask that everybody puts
Well,
up.
well, you're bringing up a good point because there's a lot of people where you sit there and you go, oh my God, they have like there might be someone who's got double the money as you, right? I mean, pretty much the doubling keeps happening to everyone besides Elon. Like pretty much everyone gets doubled.
Yeah.
But you could look at them and be like, wait, they don't. they don't have their family put together. They're on like their fifth wife and like they don't have their kids in the house. Like, so there's a lot more elements to people than it's just like, hey, like you make more money. I want to work with like you want to
Yeah.
find someone where the values align too. Because I just think that's very, very important because it's not just find the first person who makes more than you. It's like, no, 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 that like I don't want someone who's going out all the time. That's very different than the guy who's going out all the time. They might both make the same amount, but you just got to realize who's a good fit and who might not be the best fit,
Exactly.
which I think is a good thing. And then for you, when did you start to realize this purpose and impact? Because I know as I've been doing this, I've been doing like we're on episode like 290 or something, and I feel like every single time we do these episodes, people are always like, "How do I find my purpose? What's my?" I literally had a call last week with someone, and he's like, "Yeah, I just want to find alignment. I just want to know what my purpose is." Like, so how do you think people find that, and how did you kind of find that for yourself?
I think the best way to do that is to spend some time with yourself, spend some time in quiet. I mean, whether it's Maxwell or Robbins, all of them, all the great best books talk about spending that time just in quiet meditation. Like we get so busy with life that we don't stop and reflect on what should I be doing? What do I want to be doing? Like getting in touch with that your inner self, so to speak, right? And really asking yourself those questions. Like what are the things that excite you and that get you passionate, right? I love when you look at the actual definition of passion, like it comes from this ideal of what you're willing to suffer for, right? Like we hear the word passion when we all think, love and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. But like real passion is like, I am willing to suffer for this because that's how much it means to me. Like it is just
yeah,
that core to who I feel that I am. And so spending that time really asking yourself those questions, spending that time, whether it's journaling or keeping it in a diary, however you want to write it out. But what is it that I am here for? Like that's what we all ask ourselves that why question. Why was I created? Why was it my son, my 10-year-old son asked me that why was I born? I gave him kind of the biological answer, like, well, here's why, because he's at that age where we have to start having those conversations too. But it's like, but what's the purpose? And there was a purpose for his birth for me and my wife. But then I said, there's also, as you grow up, you're going to have to ask that question. Like, we have our purpose for why you're here. You're an expression of the love that we have, me and your mom do. But you're going to have to ask that question of yourself. Why am I here?
yeah,
What am I here to do? What is meaningful to me? And then if you can, and when you start to realize that and start acting on that, you start to develop and find those passions and those purposes, right? You can start having that as Maxwell talks about your purpose-driven life. Like this
yeah,
is what I was put here to do. I don't think that that's something that just happens overnight. I think it's something that develops. I didn't start off thinking that I'm gonna be this like insurance agency guy like in 17 years. Whenever I started this, it like I got into insurance to meet a shortfall gap, right? Like I
yeah,
didn't have a job anymore. I needed to make some income. That got me into insurance. And it took a couple of years in this space to be able to connect what I now do to some things that happened, as I was talking about with my mom, some things that happened before. It's like, oh, this is my opportunity to kind of make good on that situation that happened to me where I wanted to be like that guy who gave us a call and said, you know what, Edith had these policies. I need to meet with you guys to make sure you're taken care of. Right.
yeah,
And so we start when you're open yourself to that, you're willing to kind of reflect internally and look inward. You start to see that there are a couple of things that you're really good at, and really good at, I mean, not the expert or the most educated, but when you're doing it, it feels natural. It feels right to be helping or aiding or serving or fill in the blank in that way. And
yeah.
now what's the max? How can you maximize that in your life with what you do on a daily basis?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's so powerful when you start to realize and you take awareness and you start to see this happening daily and you start to implement it into your life more often. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing I see for people. And like when I talk to clients, it's hey, you want this dream life? Like, what does that look like? And your Saturdays and Sundays should start looking like that. Like, you should start to add these activities. And it's like, dude, I really love surfing in the morning. Cool. Let's surf right in the morning. Like, I really love helping family. Okay, then we get into service. Like, what does that look like? And how do you start to find this? And the thing that you said about the journaling and reflecting back on your previous to find the connections, I think is huge,
Yeah.
huge. And I'm just sharing that so that the audience can grab whatever it is for them so they can start to think about this purpose for them. So I appreciate you doing that. So at Edwards Consulting, we have five pillars. It's mental health, physical health, community service, philanthropy, spirituality, and relationships. And I'm going to ask you today, Edward, where are you at on all these? Just today. It's not, it could be good, it could be bad, it doesn't matter. But for your mental health on a 1 to 10, where are you at today? Because I think this is really important for people to start to consider.
I would say mental health, I'm probably around a 7 today.
Okay, why do you say that?
So I know I'm in a season of my life where I'm really pushing to expand my insurance practice, while at the same time starting to wrap up some things that I do in the world of real estate. Like I kind of expanded out too big,
Yeah,
too quickly, and now I'm having to do a contraction so I can get my focus back on the core. And with that comes some anxiety. It comes a lot of extra time that I have to spend working on and developing those things. So, it's one where typically I get to spend a lot more time with myself than I am doing right now. And I got to get back to that to start heading back up towards that 10.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that was such a beneficial share for the audience to realize because more is not always better. Sometimes the
Sure.
subtraction element is really what gives us the clarity of what we're looking for. And like Edward's saying, it is not easy to subtract because there's relationships, there's things, and you're trying to uncouple all of this while keeping everything good. And it's like, hey guys, like we gotta, yeah, it's tough. It's
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah.
Now, your physical health on a 0 to 10, how do you feel about that?
That I'll put it a 9. It's an area that I work on a daily basis. Um, I have probably more doctors than most people, as healthy as I am, do. I have, primary care, longevity, and physicality doctors that I separate out that time because I know, I'm getting ready to turn 43 here in just a little bit.
Oh, nice.
And, I want to be able to go out running and playing with my 10, 8, and 6-year-olds, and
Yeah.
not have any issue with that. So we actually just did a family race the other day, and I still won. So I count that as a definite win. Um, but yeah, that's one of those areas that I just with between what I eat, my level of activity. Normally I have my Aura ring on, but it's charging right now. But like I really like to take a very scientific approach to how healthy am I, and how can I make sure that this life that I'm building, I can be around to enjoy it and participate in it for as long as I can.
Absolutely. I love that. And you start to realize that there's a lot of accountability by having more doctors, by having more people in your circle. Like, oh, I gotta check him. This guy's gonna want me to check it. Like, he's gonna follow up with me. It's gonna be annoying,
Yeah.
but like, it's helpful. And I'm just sharing that for the audience to realize, like, if you have people, if you have no one checking and balancing you, you can eat all the cookies in the jar. Like, if someone's gonna be like, hey man, like the scale reflects a little differently this month. What's going on? Like, you're gonna have that different component. So I think that's a really good insight. And now community service philanthropy. How do you feel about that? Because I know that's a little bit different. People land on it a little wherever they
Yeah.
whatever works for them kind of thing.
I mean, I think for me, I know there's more potential that I could have there. I'd put myself at a 5 or 6 right now, because I could be doing so much more, but because I have expanded so much and spread myself out into just my business interest, it limit like time is a finite
Of
thing.
course.
I have 24 hours, just like anybody else. I can get some leverage on that with staff and other people to help me do that. But for me to be able to personally give back in the way that I feel that I should, I have to have more personal time to do that.
Yeah.
It's one thing to write a check. It's another thing to show up and help, build the walls of the new kitchen for the orphanage. So those are some areas that I'm looking forward to in this new year that we're in to really be able to expand and grow in that particular area.
I love that. Because I mean, it's all, and I think it's really important of like, how do you want to give back? Like, everyone's got their own ideas and decisions and thought processes. And yeah, it's what do you actually want to do? And like, especially with your kid's age right now, like, if you can get this dialed and, hey guys, we're not going on the vacation this year. We're going to do
Yep.
this instead. They're going to be like, what? And then you never know because the 6-year-old might be like, Daddy, this was amazing. Like,
Yep.
I want to do more. And like then it gets them in their mindset and it's so powerful. It really, really is. And now relationships. This could be family, friends, like whatever business, whatever you think's best. But on your relationships, what do you think you are on a 0 to 10?
I would say relationships right now probably about a 6 as well. And again, it boils back to how much time am I giving? Like
Yeah,
relationships cannot be built with money. Relationships cannot be built with gifts or like a promise of something to do in the future.
yeah,
Relationships are 100% like right after this, before I head to the airport, um, I have to stop at this Viking Arena, which is like an indoor trampoline bounce house park, so I can spend some time with my kids before I head away on another work trip. Like I got back from a recent work trip and landed Friday night, went to sleep. My wife had scheduled for us to go out and go hiking in the rainforest here in Puerto Rico first thing Saturday morning. My body said, stay in bed, get some sleep. The relationship said, you better get your butt out there and have the best possible day you can. Like you just like not even a mask, you just have to like live the best possible day you can have. So that's one of those areas too where when we overcommit, like we only have so far we can stretch with our various arms. When I'm overcommitted in one, something has to be pulled in.
of course.
So this is where by pulling back on the business side of things and said, I'm not doing all, I'm doing one very well. Now I'm going to have the time, bandwidth, energy to really be able to reach out to one that is vitally important, and that is the relationship side.
And this is why there's 5 pillars because there's very, very, very few people who think they're optimized in all of them, right? It's almost impossible because there's so many gives and takes in our lives,
Yeah.
as you're saying, especially when you got a, a good sized family, you got this, you got business, there's a lot of elements to it. And it's like, if your wife doesn't prioritize that, you're probably like, what are we doing today? And it's
Yeah.
like, so it's such a blessing that she was there to even go, hey guys, we're doing this. And you're like, I gotta show up. Let's go. Um, and now spirituality, where does that land for you? This could be religion, this could be just meditation, it could be wherever you want it to be. But what do you think about spirituality?
Yeah, for me, right now in my life, that's relatively strong. I would put it at about a 7. And it's one of those practices that I've incorporated similar to what I do with the physical side of things. And it's one that I want to, of course, continue to
Yeah,
strengthen. But like having that daily, like the word ritual is there for a reason, right?
yeah,
Like you have to have certain rituals that form habits that allow it to get deeper and deeper into you, where it becomes where just like this is the area that I live when it comes to my physical health. This is the area that I'm always in when it comes to my spiritual health. And having those habits, I think that the new year, as cliche as it may sound, it's a good time to say, okay, what is it that I want to do every day for these particular areas of my life?
yeah,
And then having accountability partners. Like I have my doctors or my accountability partners when it comes to my physical health. The community at my church, the men's group that I'm part of, actually started a Bible reading group with all three of my siblings, my wife, and a couple of good friends, so that like we're on the same app together and we know who read for the day and who didn't, because we're supposed to be commenting and sharing with one another what we're getting from what we're reading that particular day. But it's having those things that can get us into that rhythm that happens all the time, because it's not something that's learned all at once or just figured out in one sitting. It's lion upon lion, right? It's
and
every year I get a little bit older, I layer some more on top of it. and I get better at this particular aspect of my life. And so it's one that, again, just like any of them, like time has to be
Yeah.
spent and attention has to be given.
Absolutely. And I love how you brought in your family, your friends, just in the spirituality. And it's not like, hey, we got a call every day or hey, we got a thing. It's like we're all in the app. And if you see someone falling off the app, it's like, hey, what's up, bud? Like, you good?
Exactly.
Everything all right? And that's such a powerful thing because it's like we're working together without working together. And it's a very good way of enhancing it and making it an awesome activity for everyone. So,
Yeah.
Edward, this is the end of the pod. Where can
All
people
right.
learn more about you and where can they yeah, where can they learn more about you and the agency?
Well, I mean, you can check me out on YouTube. We have Life Insurance Today is our channel there. Instagram, the Edward Pritchett. Every now and again, I'll throw up a little dance on TikTok at the Edward Pritchett as well. We try to have some fun with it. But then to visit and learn more about the agency, just pritchettagency.com. Come check out what we're doing. Whether you're wanting to make sure that your family is protected in the best possible way on both the life, retirement, and wealth planning side, or you're looking for a new industry or a new opportunity to build a business that you can be passionate about, come find out more about what we're doing. And happy to share with anybody that's watching on your podcast, Jordan. I know they're gonna already have some mindsets right if they're reaching out or contacting us if they're following along here.
Absolutely. Love it.